What's up, guys? It's Rihanna Anise. Welcome back to my channel. It is another episode of Nap Chat where we adults get together while the kids are asleep or away and discuss the goings on of the internet. Today's episode is going to be kind of more serious than my normal topics. Normally we just chit chat about celebrity gossip, but today I wanted to deep dive and break down the movie that came out on Amazon Prime this weekend called Them. Okay, so I just want to give a trigger warning right off the bat. We're going to be talking about some dark, deep subjects, and there will be some spoilers as well, just to give you a heads up. So let's get right into this video, y'all, because I really don't want this to be long. I've tried to make this a couple times, and it keeps going so long. So let me try to be concise for you guys. Okay, so let's get right into it. So basically, this is a series on Netflix. There is 10 episodes ranging from about 30 minutes to about 45 minutes an episode. The story itself is set in the 50s. I have read that this is going to be like an American Horror Story type of vibe. So each season is going to be a brand new story. But this particular season, the first season, is about the Emery family. They're a beautiful black family who's moved from the South after experiencing some really tough things, moved to California, 1950s Compton, which is an all-white city at this time, and decides to integrate into the city, and basically horror ensues because the white people want to get them out. We can identify with this horror. Some of us have actually experienced this horror. A lot of our ancestors have experienced this horror, so it's definitely something that can be relatable for a lot of black people and just people of color and other ethnicities, period, in America. You can tell from the title where I'm going to end up on as far as my opinion on this movie, but there was things that I liked. For one, the acting was superb. Like the mother, who was acted by Deborah Ayorinde, hope I'm saying that right, bomb. The daughter, what was her name, Ruby, she was acted by Shahadi Wright. Amazing. Like, girl, you're 14 years old acting like this. They were true standouts for me. The music, how everything looked, the wardrobe, the wigs, everything was bomb as far as that. I also loved how they talked about redlining and how these suburbs were specifically constructed to make sure black people do not get a piece of the pie, and the lengths of which they will go to try to get a piece of that pie. So I did really enjoy that. Here in Dallas, Texas, we even had a neighborhood called Highland Park. It's like a very affluent neighborhood. They still had racist HOA covenants as late as 1996. So these were very real things. This is not made up. I saw a lot of comments on Amazon saying all this stuff is made up. It's not. And it actually still goes on today. They just call it something different. I also loved that they showed the realism of the microaggressions, the family standing on a lawn staring at you, and how the dad's trying to go to work as an engineer and he keeps being delegated to the kitchen by the receptionist. Just everything about that was on point. Although the horror, for the most part, was kind of a miss for me in the series, the horror part of it, I did like some of what they tried to do. They had this like Sambo, Jim Crow character that kept haunting the father and other family members, and I really liked how they juxtapositioned the outside demons outside of the home were, the white racists, and our inner demons was, self-hate, it was schizophrenia, it was inner turmoil in our family because we don't feel safe. So I do feel like they could have fleshed that out better and made it more poignant, but I kind of got what they were trying to do there. I also loved how they depicted Ruby's struggle with her identity. To me, honestly, that was the best part of the movie. The first, the 7th and 8th episode, to me, were like the only episodes you honestly need to watch. Ruby, like I said at the top, acted her butt off. And that part of the movie with her, having this like inner person telling her, to try to be more Caucasian, and the struggle she's going through being a black girl in an all-white racist school. It really reminded me of that movie Good Fences with Danny Glover and Whoopi Goldberg. If y'all haven't seen that, y'all go see that. In fact, a lot of the series reminded me of that movie. It's like they took that movie and then tried to make it scary, I guess. I don't know. Good Fences is way better. I'm just gonna tell you right now off the top. You can watch it free on YouTube. They have the whole movie on there. I would Google it, but it reminded me a lot of that, and it reminded me of the book The Bluest Eye. So I thought they did a good job with that. I also love the 8th episode where they kind of dove into religion and how it's used to keep white supremacy going, how it's used to enslave and make you feel like slavery is actually like part of your destiny and stuff like that. I really did enjoy that. Okay, so now what I didn't like was that the horror in the movie seems like an afterthought. It seems like they just threw that in so that they could say it's a horror series. A lot of it didn't make sense beyond the person that was haunting the older daughter, and then the Jim Crow character. Anything other than that, it was just like jump scares for jump scares sake. It's the same with the subplot and the outside characters. Like anybody outside the house, their story was never fully fleshed out. They kept trying to make us feel sorry for these horrible racist terrorists, and I'm just like, I don't care about their backstory. Like, you're only showing me one side of them, so just keep it like that. But let's get into what I think was actually harmful about the film, because there's bad and then there's harmful, and those are two different things. You have a bad movie and it's just a bad movie on its own. I truly think that the intentions of this movie were not pure or positive, and I'm going to get into that. First of all, the colorism of the movie. I love how they're able to find a fully black family, a black woman, dark skin, black male, dark skin, and they're actually married when they want to torture them and show them in the most degrading, violent, and emotional scenes that you've probably seen since Midsummer, since Mother, since a Serbian film. Yeah, it gets that bad. I love that they could find dark-skinned people for that. But when it's like a romantic comedy or something, sexy and fun, there's no dark-skinned women to be found. It's very interesting that y'all can find them, but only for certain reasons. When you want to rape them, torture them, enslave them, and show them in this really horrific light. I just really wanted to call that out. Which brings me to the directors of all these stories. If you go on IMDb, I know Lil Marvin's name and Lena Waithe, they're being tied to the show, and they are. They produced some of the episodes. Lil Marvin is like the creator, I guess, or who brought the overall scope of the show to being able to get made. But they did not direct each episode. They did not write. The majority of the directors, the majority of the writers are white males. Okay. The episodes are some of the most horrific, violent, dramatic, just traumatic things I've ever seen with my own two eyes, period, in real life or otherwise. And I just find it odd that it's white men that are writing this. Why is black trauma so entertaining? And why was there no redemption? Even the little bit of redemption they were able to get, we weren't shown really that. Like, towards the end of the movie, the dad kills two white people, one of them being a cop. A, that's totally not realistic. B, you don't even get to see it. If you blink, you missed it. You might even be like, where'd the people go? But when it came time to showing black women being tortured, black babies dying, we got to see all of that. So I feel like that was intentional. Certain YouTuber I like to watch, he's a body language guy, and he always says, his name is Jesus Enriquez Rosas. You guys should check him out. I'll link him below. But he always says you have to stack your evidence. You can't just say, okay, well, it was directed by white men, so it's racist. It was intentionally racist. It's intentionally harmful to black people. No, you have to stack the evidence. It was directed mostly by white males. It was written by white males. The torturous parts of the movie, the trauma, the violence, is all directed on black bodies, dark-skinned black bodies. And then you find out the really, really bad scene was actually directed by a black woman. So they could find a black woman or a black person for this project, but they delegated her to direct literally the most horrific thing I've ever seen in my life. So episode 5, you might have heard about it. It's called The Covenant. And basically it's showing you why the family had to move from the South. The mother was raped while their child was beat to death. And again, they show you everything. Okay, everything. It's torturous. Do not watch it. I don't recommend this series at all. So they found a black director for this particular episode, and I found that very interesting. I believe it was to re-traumatize her specifically, and B, she's now the scapegoat because the most violent scene she directed. You don't think that was on purpose? You're crazy. Okay, so that brings me back a little bit. So like I said, the father killed two white people towards the end, one being a cop, totally unrealistic. The mother at the very, very first episode goes out of the house waving her gun at the neighbors after being terrorized the whole episode and says, leave my family alone, pointing the gun at the neighbors. Totally unrealistic. So if you're able to give us this unrealistic stuff, why not push that further? Why can't we get no redemption in this series? Like, at least with Lovecraft Country, you'll see black trauma, but you'll also see black redemption. You see none in this. And the little bit that you do, they don't even really show it to you. And then the family usually gets punished for it anyway. The last thing, the stereotypes that they pushed. First of all, we have struggle of in the black family. They literally cannot catch a break, whether it's inside or outside the home. Then we have the strong black woman trope. Like I said, the first episode, it's the wife that goes outside and threatens to shoot people, not the husband. It's the wife that starts cleaning and cocking the gun, but the husband isn't really doing anything, which leads me to my next trope that they did. The black man doesn't protect the black woman. He literally did nothing to protect her. And makes you really side-eye him. And I believe, again, it's on purpose. They're pushing these specific type of narratives that the black man can't do nothing for his family besides put them in harm's way. This is cyclical and generational trauma. Yes, these things did happen. Yes, these things were real, which means that you should hold them and depict them with even more care. And I don't think that that was the case. Constantly re-traumatizing the black audience with black trauma, terrorism, and violence against black bodies. It's not only redundant, but it's actually harmful and unhealthy for us.
Well, imagine you're walking in the forest and you see a bear. Immediately, your hypothalamus sends a signal to your pituitary, which sends a signal to your adrenal gland that says, release stress hormones, adrenaline, cortisol. And so your heart starts to pound, your pupils dilate, your airways open up, and you are ready to either fight that bear or run from the bear. And that is wonderful if you're in a forest and there's a bear. But the problem is what happens when the bear comes home every night. And this system is activated over and over and over again. And it goes from being adaptive or life-saving to maladaptive or health-damaging.
Notice how she said it affects your pituitary gland. Now, I'm not a conspiracy theorist channel, and I don't mean to put my tinfoil hat on, but your pituitary gland is your third eye. And it is not a coincidence that that is what's being attacked. It is not a coincidence that this series was released while the George Floyd trial is going on. They want this energy, you guys. This is all on purpose. I truly believe this is trauma porn with the intentions to hurt the black community and our collective consciousness. There is nothing, and I repeat, nothing entertaining about black trauma. Note to all of you horror producers, directors, and writers, stop it. This constant state of victimhood, it's on purpose to keep you frozen and numb, okay? And I truly believe that that was the intent with this series. They definitely want to mess with our heart, with our spirit, with our third eye, and keep us in chains mentally, okay? So I hope you enjoyed this little, review and breakdown of the movie. Like I said, there were definitely things I like. I love the true depiction of, what it's like to submerge yourself into white culture as a non-white person back in those times especially. But I think that was just the lure to get us to watch and be re-triggered and re-traumatized. Horror movies have always been fun for me. I never leave feeling traumatized, maybe scared a little bit, but I never leave feeling hurt. And I've noticed a shift in horror where now they're really trying to hurt us. And I just don't like that. So drop your comments down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts if you're going to watch the movie. If you haven't watched the movie, again, I strongly recommend that you do not. If you do watch the movie, I would only watch episodes 1, 7, and 8. I hope you enjoyed. Drop your comments down below, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Bye.